While artificial intelligence systems are sweeping corporate America, Elon Musk has a plan of his own, and it's called Truth GPT. He was involved in the initial funding of ChatGPT, but the Tesla CEO said in an interview that he fears existing AI businesses are training their systems to be, quote, politically correct, and that he thinks this new platform might be the best path to safety. For more on this, we want to welcome in Callie Hayes, Insider Tech correspondent. Callie, a lot laid out there in this interview here from Elon Musk, obviously comparing what he wants to build to what's already out there with ChatGPT. What did you make of the headlines and how realistic maybe some of his ambitions are within this space?
Well, top line, I think I'm always interested in how little he explains what he's saying. There's usually not much added beyond the quotes that kind of get thrown around in terms of truth and existence and humanity. So I think that's always worth noting. But going forward, I mean, it's more actions than words. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, comes of this project.
Yeah, and Callie, I know one of the things that you were closely tracking is the investment here from Musk into new generative AI project at Twitter. What can you tell us about that specific project? And I guess if you have any sense of the timeline of that.
It's a great question. The timeline would be very good to nail down, but overall it's a LLM, or a large language model. So that is purportedly being trained on Twitter data. The people that he's hired, the engineers that he's hired, several from Google's DeepMind project, they are technically employees of Twitter, which is now part of X Holdings. So they are ostensibly taking Twitter data to train this large language model, which is sort of the baseline for these AI projects to go out and then create new content on their own. They need huge amounts of data input to do the things we see a ChatGPT do, for instance, which is sort of talk like you would think a person would talk, or respond in an authoritative way on a subject that you prompt it to discuss.
So fair to say it sounds like in the very early stages of this?
Very, and the amount of GPUs that he's purchased too is also a signal of a very early stage LLM AI training project. 10,000 GPUs is a lot. It's a lot of money. It's probably around $100 million that he spent on that number of GPUs because they're very expensive, but it isn't the amount that you need to even operate at the level of a ChatGPT is operating at as yet.
Callie, given all this, what do you make of the fact that Elon Musk was one of the signatories of that Future of Life Institute warning that we need to pause AI, all while he tries to develop it?
Musk is definitely a man of contradictions, to put it politely. He tends to say things and do something else. I think people who have followed him for the last several years would not argue with that. So it's ironic that he would do something like that, but I think not totally unexpected given his past actions and comments.
Callie, you cover this space very closely. I mean, there's so many players now within AI. Every single tech company, it seems like, wants to mention AI with its investors, with the analysts in its earnings releases. When you stack up who is in the lead, I think a lot of people clearly agree that it's Microsoft. But how many players should we be thinking about, should we be worrying about here when we talk about some of the risks that are associated with AI?
So many. There's so many people who are getting involved in this. There's so many startups being founded right now as we speak. Hackathons are happening in San Francisco every day almost, trying to figure out new use cases for AI, and these startups using ChatGPT and trying to figure out new ways that it could be applied to basically any industry you can think of. So I guess that's part of the worry, but all in all, I think generative AI as a whole is more about improving current processes more than taking over humanity, as some very outspoken people seem to think. It's going to really improve search. It's possible that it could really improve the medical industry. It's about thinking before you use something like this. Like, don't dump all of your financial information into it and expect it to be fine. But there is truly countless startups right now as we speak being founded, trying to use generative AI in a new way.
And there's the original startup. And because inconsistency might be the most consistent thing Elon does, he helped found OpenAI. Why did he walk away?
There was some reporting about this on the time, and it's before my time covering him. But there was a possible power struggle. There were possible disagreements between Sam Altman, who's sort of the head face of OpenAI at this point, and Musk specifically, even though they kind of previously had a mentor-mentee relationship. So there's a lot of palace intrigue there, but it seems pretty practical to say at this point that Musk maybe sort of regrets getting out of that company. It would have been probably a huge boon to his reputation had he stayed and been at the forefront of something like generative AI.
Callie, give us a sense of what's going on inside the walls, behind the doors of Twitter right now, because when we talk about this ambitious project, maybe from Elon Musk, you're saying it's going to cost a lot. And Musk has said numerous times that Twitter is on unstable footing when it comes to its financials. How dire of a situation is Twitter in right now?
It's more dire for the people that work there, maybe, than the company as a whole. It's a very, very tough place to work. Many people who are there genuinely feel stuck working there for one reason or another, be it the finances or their HB1 immigration visas, stuff like that. So, but in terms of the company, I mean, it's still functioning. I think people predicted that Twitter could function with many, many fewer employees than it had. It's down. Well, Musk says that it has about 1,500 employees, which is a shocking reduction. I've heard that it's actually a little bit closer to 1,000 people, which is an even more shocking reduction. But it also goes to show why the site has been increasingly glitchy. But then again, the level of glitchiness that users who have really come to love and put a lot of time into a platform are willing to put up with. So tech leaders throughout the industry are really watching everything Musk does at Twitter extremely closely, and many of them are kind of following suit in their own way.
They certainly are, and so are we, watching every single development out of that company. Callie Hayes of Insider, thanks so much.